Every one of you watching this screen, look out.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What did I tell you about cartoons?
They've got a lot of brains, and they've got a lot of chutzpah.
Tell me how comic books make you feel, Dave.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hello, this is Frantz, Kantor, illustrator, cartoonist, yada yada yada.
Yada yada yada.
Yeah, and I'm here with
James Patrick Bridges, and I'm the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum.
Who's this Gooma?
Gooma? Well, this is Jason Seiler, who came over from America to Australia in 2010 for the Australian Cartoonists Association's guest.
For the ACCA guest.
Yes, an ACCA guest, and he gave workshops on how to work on computers and had to do 15-hour drawings of a caricature.
Right.
And this is
a beautiful book. This is a lovely cover. I think this is magnificent, this book. So he does some great cartoons, caricatures, which you can see online.
Well, that's what I actually look like if you're interested. That's the Jim 2010.
Okay. That's the cover again. So
it's published by
Brand Studio Press.
Yes, and I think it's still available online.
Yeah.
You'd contact Jason on his own site.
Yeah. So he's very prolific online. You can see his work. It's quite a lot of work. Amazing amount of work that he's got online. Just if you just Google caricature, up comes most of his stuff.
That's true.
So very prolific artist, and very versatile as well. This is a pencil sketch. I'm not sure actually whether this is digital. I presume not. I presume that this is on toned paper. But look at some of these great shapes he's able to sort of to create. Why has he got this sort of
line
film scratches?
Well, he might be obsessed with them just like you are, because you're forever putting them on your films.
On films, yeah, but not so much on a still.
That's called a cinch mark.
That's a cinch.
Yeah, and you know what a cinch strap is?
No.
It's the strap that goes underneath the horse on the saddle. And it leaves a line, and they call them cinch marks.
And this is
and because when you grab film that's loose and you pull it straight,
right,
you get lines on it. You get those vertical scratches on it. They're called cinch marks.
Okay, well, something akin to a cinch is a pinch, and that's what's happening here with the face. So this is Quentin Tarantino. It's a lovely set of shapes which he's able to.
You're just attracted to heads that look like bananas.
Not necessarily. Well, there's Banana Nose. It's one of the Rolling Stones. I don't remember. I'm not into the Rolling Stones.
Really?
I don't really know.
Oh. Were they before your time?
Yeah. But I guess, well, if you want to, we can watch another book review of ours on...
yes, we...
What's his name?
Yeah, well, I'll never forget his name.
His name. Gooma.
Yeah, that Gooma. We did a book on the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
By that German Gooma, who's probably everybody's following him, including Jason Seiler.
And his name is?
Yeah, that's right. Listen, I'm older than you. I have a perfect excuse, you know.
All right.
But I'll never forget.
You got half an hour.
I'll never forget
to
what's his
remember.
name.
Yeah, that's
Never
it.
forget him.
This I've seen many, many times and was quite enamoured of. I loved any idea, any attempt at contrast, and the control, absolute control of colour. I absolutely adore that. So beautiful tonal work on the faces. Lovely decision of simplicity and construction.
Who are they?
But beautiful shit.
I don't know who they are.
I don't. You know what? I don't even.
You don't need to.
You need to know.
You don't need to know. No, I don't
Possibly.
think. I think no. This is one of the
Doesn't
things
really
about
matter.
this book.
They're
He
just
doesn't.
people.
He doesn't care a stuff about who they are.
No, I don't care either. It's just that the sometimes you might recognise people, others not. But look at this beautiful,
He looks like the guy in the office.
simplicity of the hair.
He looks like the guy in the office, but he's got
The
short
American
hair.
or the English
The
office.
American office, of course. Now that's the man in black,
Yeah.
kicking and the gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. Johnny Cash. Now we should know who she is.
Look
but
at
we
that.
don't.
Beautiful details.
The girl with the
The tattoo, the dragon tattoo.
yeah.
Yeah. It's lovely. The light catching the reflections of the light in the white of the eyes.
on the sleepy little eyeballs. Nice little touch.
It's really nice.
Mind you, as you were saying,
the details,
they
yeah.
can go right in with
Yeah,
and then
the
I'll fill
computer.
the screen and I'll do it, then I'll pull
Yeah.
back.
Unlike pencil, of course, you're sort of stuck
Yeah.
with the size of the paper, but with a computer you can zoom right in.
And you
to
think
the
that's
pixel,
a good thing?
if
You think
wish.
that's a good thing?
It's a different thing.
It's
whether
a different
good
thing,
or not.
okay.
This is oil on canvas, I presume. I'm thinking it's oil because it's got bare patches here. Now, oil is a very interesting technique.
Oils aren't oils.
Yeah. Well, it's quite. A lot of people, you either hate it or like it. It's the same thing as people that use acrylic. You either hate acrylic or like
But
acrylic.
isn't oil the hardest medium to use?
I've heard that, but for me, I found it very natural. So this is a beautiful amount of control. With oil, like if you look at a Rembrandt or Da Vinci, right, you'll notice that the thicker paint is actually the white. So what the thinnest paint is usually the darker areas of the painting. So that's
Which is not the same with drawing.
well, there's a technique. It's a classical
it's the
technique
opposite.
that was expanded on by Da Vinci and by Rembrandt later on, and of course some of the American painters who came from studying Impressionists. So there's a long history of oil painting. That's what I'm trying to tell you, and especially in illustration. People like Norman Rockwell, which is a great exponent of oil paint.
Is that Mr. King without his glasses?
Yeah. So this is a digital illustration. You can tell by the lack of texture and also the looseness of the pen lines.
Uh-huh.
So it's it's a different technique
Well,
again.
that's Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I'm a bit unsure
And
about
he's
this. I'm
added
presuming
about-
that this
he's-
is digital.
And he's added about 30 years to her life in that drawing.
But it's lovely again. The attention to the color. It's magnificent. Subdued color. It's only her tattoo and her bra.
And there's,
So again, like Kruger, he's very interested in the musicians.
that's the man we were trying to talk
Yeah.
about, Mr. Kruger. What's his first name?
Otto,
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
I don't know, I'm guessing too.
Yeah,
We're
look at
both
this,
guessing here.
A close up of
Humphrey
whoever-
Go-Kart.
Yeah,
I'll never forget his name. Humphrey Go-Kart.
yeah. But who is that?
Well, that's not his...
That looks like
no, it doesn't look like...
it's somewhere over the rainbow.
It does a bit look like her, yeah. But this is obviously done on a computer,
Yep.
obviously.
I presume it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's looking
Even
at
though
it,
it's
yeah.
got a textural quality of
Yeah.
cross-hatching with the
Yeah.
paint, there's the thing is that the computer gives you the ability to zoom in, and then to paint, and then zoom out, and then
Yeah.
you loosen
There's
the brush strokes or whatever.
a touch of Vermeer here. What do you think?
Vermeer.
Yeah, touch of Vermeer. You know?
Well, that could be the paper.
No. And there's your mate, Hellboy.
Yeah.
And that's on. Is that on a computer or is that on paper?
Hard to. There's some smudges, so it'd be on paper.
Oh, you can't do smudges on computer.
You have to put them in on purpose.
Oh.
This is an oil painting. You can tell there's the texture. See what I said about the thickest areas of paint is the white.
And there it is there.
And,
there it is
gradually going back into the darker areas.
Which is the opposite to
Watercolor.
photography too, isn't it?
I don't know.
Because the lightest part in a negative is where it's been burnt the most. And the thickest part of the bits that haven't been touched much, which are the darkest and densest. Well, I don't know what.
So some of these are commercial jobs. Some of them are illustrations.
I'm showing my ignorance
of
here.
Of context.
Now I know this guy.
Oh, this is George Lucas.
Yes.
So George has got this big goiter of a neck, this huge big bullfrog.
I thought he had no chin.
I'm being really unkind here because I love George. I think he's brilliant. His
What's your favourite film? THX.
No, it's oh my gosh, the fantasy film. I've forgotten the bloody film now.
The fantasy film.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah, with the dwarf and the I can't remember it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
He's walked off camera to remember.
I can't remember. I'll remember it later.
Yeah.
Sebastian Kruger.
Sebastian, yeah.
That's that. This is a beautiful, painting of
George Lucas.
George.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I presume this is. I'm getting the impression that this is acrylic or oil or something.
I don't know. I reckon it's on a computer. What do you reckon?
Maybe. Yeah.
Can't you tell?
It's not easy. It's not an easy effect to get this sort of textural quality in a digital painting. It's not that easy to get. So it's a sort of like a...
Some people actually complain about digital art. They say it takes you longer to get it.
You spend more time
yes,
on it.
You just do.
Yeah, because it invites you to spend more time. It's more sort of intensive.
There's a lovely hitch.
Yeah.
And the hands. Now that's not done on...
If you want to know the name of the film, it's called Willow. There's also a series of
crummy
books.
film. That crummy film. God.
Love that film.
Made for 9-year-olds.
Yep. That's for me.
Yeah. Did you have a teddy bear as a child?
Yeah.
That's BB
so this
King.
Is a beautiful
Didn't
pencil.
BB King?
I'm not sure. Beautiful pencil work on paper.
Yeah.
You can tell by the smudges and things like that. But look at the the beautiful use of cross hatching with pencil. It's lovely. This is watercolor. This is a lovely watercolor. Watercolor. This sort of mottled effect.
Look at that ear.
It's called cauliflowering. And this is a cauliflower ear.
Yeah, well, it sounded like you were going to put those two things.
But that's a lovely watercolor.
Yeah, I love the hands.
Yeah,
it's very typical of him. And he sort of humanised Hitch in that picture because Hitch was
not very human.
That's correct, but he did understand what made humans tick. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now this is Bernard somebody. Okay. Obviously.
New York from the New York for the New York Times.
He loved this bit, didn't he? He loved this bit.
So, and this is a digital drawing. You can tell from the lack of smudges, and there's a whole bunch of things in there that sort of fluidity.
That's Obama cutting his name out of pictures, isn't it? Is it Obama?
Yeah.
I'd say it is. It looks like it was done for a magazine article.
Yeah.
Yes. What's her name? No.
Audrey Hepburn.
Oh.
Of course, Audrey Hepburn is from
My Fair Lady.
Lunch at Tiffany's.
Breakfast.
Oh, was it breakfast?
Or was it tea time?
Tea time at Tiffany's.
And this is a very early Orson Welles, obviously.
That's beautiful. I love this.
Yeah.
It's a digital painting.
Of?
Yeah, this is another digital painting.
I'd say that's digital.
Yeah.
That's where you've been hiding.
What's his
That's
name?
where you've been hiding.
Osama bin Laden.
Oh, Bin Laden. Oh.
That's the former president of North Korea.
And I'd say that's done on a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The former. Yeah. Lovely lips. Nice.
This is a beautiful. I love that shape there, and that one too. So when he gets a chance, to play with profiles, he doesn't do it so well on the front pictures. Occasionally, you'll get invited to create something that's extraordinary distortion.
But is that your?
But these are magnificent.
Is that your bias towards shape? Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah. But these are fantastic. Look at the ability to be able to find these shapes here within the forms. The differences in the teeth sizes are just inviting you to expand on the caricatures within caricatures. So the idea of doing a caricature is like a balloon head, who's making one element bigger than the rest. So obviously for readability or importance. But with caricature, you're actually invited to look at elements for their own purpose.
That's before and that's
so
after.
Caricature within the caricature of the head, there's a caricature of the nose.
Do you know this is?
Caricature of the eyes. That's Charles Darwin.
Correct. That's before and that's after. Actually, he's middle age. That's a lovely. It could be Tolstoy. Looks great, doesn't it? Do you reckon that's done on a computer?
No.
Oh, this is watercolour, isn't it? This is watercolour.
Yeah.
They're both lovely, aren't they?
Well, look, computer and watercolor, computer and things, they're just a different tool.
Yeah. I'd
so you
stick these on my
recognise
wall.
one from the other. It doesn't really
I'd
matter.
stick these on my wall.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, some of them. This is incredible.
That's Aretha Franklin, isn't it?
Yeah, that's beautiful. So all right. She's got big boobs, but the thing is, there's an incredible amount of drama.
As she got older, she got bigger.
Beautiful attention to details over here. But she's a lovely woman.
You
though.
wouldn't say she's statuesque, but I mean, he's drawn her because she's Aretha Franklin. She's incredible. She's like.
Yeah, these you probably
This is
familiar
respect.
with.
This is respect.
Yeah, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. So this is from The Office, obviously.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So these
The
are
American
digital.
one or the British one?
American one. So these are digital. This is a lovely sketch.
Street guy. Oh, I don't know. I reckon Crumb might just do it better. What do you reckon?
Well, this is looser. This
Yeah,
is
much
a bit
more looser.
More contemporary.
Now this guy. Well,
Rambling man.
you'll have to get used to this guy because when he gives a lesson here.
Ah, okay. So
gives a
this is
lesson.
a digital painting. So
Yeah.
you basically create brushes in Photoshop or applicable program like Procreate or Painter or something like this. And the brushes are there to approximate the way that you work in analog or outside of the computer. So acrylic or oil or pencil.
So he starts off.
All of these things.
He starts off with a.
Yeah, so he'll do a tonal sketch, a rough sketch, and then he'll take it into the computer and sort of effect it so that it's now darker, and then he'll settle on a palette, which it may sound stupid, right? Why would you settle on a palette? You've got millions of colors. Well, yes, but settling on a palette gives you more control over the use of color. This goes back to working on an actual palette in oils. So you don't put every color out.
Yeah, but
on
it
the
makes
palette.
sense. It makes sense because there's so many colours. I mean, it's like a musician. There's so many instruments in the orchestra, in the full orchestra, and of course, the full orchestra on a computer is huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah, so you limit the
have
palette.
Every paintbrush, every colour, every tone.
So you have warm tones and cool tones, basically, right? So they're the basic structures. There's not really bright colours. There's not really very chroma, hue intensive colours. So the colours themselves are not very, very intense. And you're able to work more structurally and tonally. So that's the idea. You make the picture darker from the drawing, and then you gradually build up the highlights. Exactly how he would work with oil on canvas. This is exactly the process of oil on canvas. So even though it's digital, it's working in an approximation of how he would work in the real world.
Except
oil.
if you use oil, it's dangerous.
It's not dangerous.
It's dangerous. You have to have ventilation.
Well, that's what your nose is for, and your mouth.
Is
You
it?
breathe through it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Usually, people have
you have
like
to go-
turpentine, which is a cleaner. The oil evaporates quite slowly.
Yes.
And it's
dries,
not particularly toxic.
And dries even slower.
Most of the paints that you're using don't really evaporate, so then even the toxic ones, the toxic colors like manganese blues and the titaniums and all that sort of zincs and all that stuff, they don't really present a problem. Turpentine does evaporate, I must admit.
It does.
That does evaporate
It does.
faster, and that you would need a fan or a ventilation of something. But overall, oil is a very pleasing technique, and I love it when an artist has the ability to translate his knowledge from working on oil on canvas into the computer environment, because it just really speaks volumes about
cheaper.
his knowledge.
It's cheaper. Oil paints are expensive.
Well, it's the decision-making process of how to create something that has a real guts to it, living, breathing technique. So, very, very interesting man.
So we get to find out who these people are.
Yeah, at the
right
end.
at the very end.
It would be nice to have them in the beginning, but
Correct.
that doesn't matter. Who is this guy here? Sean Gardner, don't know who that portrait of Nathan. Okay, so we don't know who Nathan is, but Nathan is beautiful because, of Seiler's attention to incredible detail. This is a lovely article. There's different steps. You can see all of his, how he thinks and how he works. And it's very logical, and as I said to you before, it has a real-world, basis.
You would have liked him because he's like you. He has a lot in common with you. He always wears his hat while he draws. And that's him. He wore that hat here in Sydney. And what's on the back page? Can you see that?
No.
It's Johnny Cash.
Okay.
Can you see Johnny Cash?
Yeah, so this is lovely. There's some lovely pictures here. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. Yeah. But in this particular painting, I think he does it quite justice. Again, a good use of color. It's a very, very interesting technique and good understanding of tone and shape, I think. And the way that he uses caricature is very interesting as well, and I share the same interest.
Because a lot of, I found that a lot of caricaturists are telling me that they're going off computer caricature because it takes too long.
You spend too much time in it. Yeah. And for the end, especially for illustrations.
Yeah. I
think it's overkill.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to zoom in to the level that you have.
Yeah.
This is you're actually zooming in here, but you're seeing chunky, brushstrokes. Yeah. I'm not sure it could be digital, but I'm inclined to think that
I'd say that's digital personally.
Really, it's got dry brush up here, so I'm inclined to think this is oil or acrylic.
You can't do both at once.
It's probably oil. You can do a little bit of both.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Depends on what the end result is. This is Seiler's.
Yeah, Jason Seiler's book.
Jason Seiler's book, 2008 to 2009. So it's just within the space of a year.
Yeah.
If you Google Jason Seiler's work now, you'll see some of these illustrations and a lot of new stuff.
And this is Frantz Kantor
and Jim Bridges
saying, "We'll see you around next time."
Like a rissole?
Careful.
Bye-bye.
Like a record.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for the sour persimmons, cousin.